And with that out of the way, let's go right ahead and talk about this injury that Kristaps Porzingis has. It's really, unfortunate how, injuries have seemed to plague this entire postseason. It seems that every single team that is in the postseason, that was in the postseason, had at least someone that was injured. It's a little bit odd, and the fact that it's happening a little bit more often now makes it even more odd. So essentially, the Celtics, they announced Tuesday that Kristaps had a torn medial retinaculum, whatever in the world that means, allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon on his left leg. Again, I have no idea what that means. And it's labeled, like, the statement describes the condition as a rare injury, according to this article, and his availability for the rest of the NBA Finals will be determined day to day, the team said, and a few hours before officially listing Porzingis as questionable for Game 3. And this is really bad. This is bad. Like, if you are the Celtics, this is bad. And if you are not a Celtics fan, this could be seen as a little bit of karma. Because if you remember, in all of this playoff series that the Boston Celtics have played in, the team that they went up against was rather shorthanded. And it happened in the first round when they went up against Miami without Jimmy Butler. And it happened again in the second round when they went up against the Cavs without Donovan Mitchell and without Jarrett Allen. And then it happened again when the Pacers in Game 2 ended up losing Tyrese Halliburton. So now, in Game 2, they end up losing Kristaps, and now they're going to have to be on the other end of the stick, playing with an injured roster and hopefully, being able to finally come out with the win in the series. But the big difference between those teams and the Celtics is that the Celtics, they have a lot of other options that they can rely on that aren't just Kristaps. I mean, Kristaps had a very good game 1 to open up the series and, take that 1-0 series lead, but, at the end of the day, the Celtics team, is good enough to win without Kristaps. They've shown in the postseason that they can, in fact, win without Kristaps. Having Al Horford come in the rotation and having the rest of the players off the bench come in the rotations, along with the rest of the starters. And it's like the team is just, it's almost too good to fail. That's what it seems like, because with all the power that they have in scoring and defense, it's not to mention Drew Holiday is actually playing really well in the finals. I mean, he had a fantastic game 2, and we'll only time will tell if that scoring will continue and if that play will continue going on. But aside from that, it's this Boston Celtics team, it's really, really good. It's way too good to fail. And Porzingis, in reports, he said, "I'm optimistic." He told reporters on Tuesday in Dallas, where Game 3 is scheduled. "As I said, I will do everything I can to be out there tomorrow. Nothing's going to stop me unless I'm told I'm not allowed to play. That's the only reason I would not be out there, but tomorrow we'll see." So the Celtics said the injury occurred at the 3:27 mark of the third quarter in Game 2, and Derek Lively was sort of is the only evidence of any potential leg injury when he was attempting to box out Kristaps. So it was Porzingis moved more gingerly on his left leg after the collision, particularly on the next several possessions, according to this article, as he was attempting to close out on shooters. He remained in the game for an additional 2 minutes and 45 seconds, was subbed out, retreated to the locker room, and played 3 minutes and 26 seconds more in the fourth quarter. He's doing everything and anything he can to be ready for the game tomorrow, said Joe Mazzulla, the Celtics coach. "It's a serious injury at the end of the day. Our team and medical team is not going to put him in any bad situations. We've taken the decision to play out of his hands because of the importance of him. He's going to do everything he can to play, and we're going to leave it up to our medical team." So, we still have yet to confirm whether or not Kristaps is going to play for Game 3. And, I guess it's really going to be a game time decision whether or not he's going to go in there. So Mazzulla said he has no idea when or if Porzingis is going to even play for Game 3. So if you're a Celtics fan, I'd start hitting the panic button, because this could be a sign for bad things to come. The series is shifting over to Dallas for the next 2 games, and thus meaning that Dallas is going to have home court advantage. However, at the same time, there aren't that many teams in the history of basketball that have come back from a 2-0 deficit in the finals, and we're going to get a little bit into that in the third segment. But a little bit more of the implications on Kristaps and, missing these games. The Celtics are plus 25 when Kristaps has played on and has been on the floor for the past 2 games in the finals. And they're even with, Dallas in the 52 minutes he has been on the bench. And during the regular season, Boston outscored opponents by 11.2 points per 100 possessions with Porzingis minutes, and that number increased to 11 with him, 11.8 with him off the floor. So, it's not a huge increase in outscoring opponents per 100 possessions, and I don't really think that number is I feel like that number is a little bit how do I say this? I mean, I feel like that yeah, sure, they're scoring them a little bit more, and it almost seems like the Celtics, with judging by that number and that statistic, it doesn't really seem like they're in that much jeopardy without Kristaps. So maybe they don't have to hit that panic button. I didn't realize that was actually a stat that they calculated to that extent. I mean, given the fact, to be fair, Kristaps hasn't really played that much or as many games as I would expect, especially when they were in the playoffs. He didn't play nearly as many games, and they were still able to. In fact, when they played the Pacers, they swept the Pacers, and Kristaps didn't even play in that series. So it seems like they can still win rather. They could still win pretty fine without having Kristaps in the rotation. So that's basically all I have for this segment. I have no idea whether or not he can take painkillers and sort of numb the pain. I'm not entirely sure how that's gonna work. I'm not entirely sure if he'd want to do that. Doesn't really seem like something that is needed. And granted, maybe that's going to be a step in the procedure that they will take, give him painkillers, see what happens, see how he reacts. But I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be the next step. So we might as well go ahead and go into the third segment, where we talk about NBA teams to come back from 2-0 in the NBA Finals. There aren't many of them, but there are a few. Some of them, a lot of them have actually happened rather recently. So we're going to take a quick look at that right after the short break. So be sure to stay tuned.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.